Yo, what's up guys and girls? Today I'm bringing y'all a Warframe video. This one's going to be about Voruna. I think she's really freaking strong right now, probably top 5, at least in my opinion. I know I say a lot of frames in this game are dumb, but this one is built different. Basically, you can expect to be invisible 24/7, nuke in a 49-meter radius through walls. Basically, the entire map and the wave that spawns in, they'll all die simultaneously, and then you just wait for them to spawn again. And yeah, you're invisible while doing it. Accolades stand no chance. Eximus, all that good stuff don't stand a chance. I'm going to get into some weapon synergies, the build, some gameplay, some clips. Let's get right into it, guys. So starting off with the Voruna build, this heavily relies on the Prey of Dinar augment mod. We'll get into that in a second, but just know that you're going to want this. I'm going to go over the abilities and what I subsumed on. So, basically the passive is each of your abilities that are unique to Voruna have a passive that you can have by holding down the abilities button. The first ability is invisibility and a speed boost, but it also comes accompanied with melee buffs. So basically you press 1 and for 14 seconds by default you get 200% movement speed, your melee's critical multiplier is increased, your melee's status chance and crit chance are increased, and your melee will inflict slash status effects. The crit multiplier scales with strength. As you can see, I have 179%, and that's a 3.58x crit multiplier. That's before mode augmented, which would be another 60% strength. You could just imagine how high that gets. The status chance, crit chance, and obviously the slash status effects do not scale with any kind of stat. Neither does the speed boost. It's a very strong ability though. We all know how good Invis is, and this is just Invis with buffs on top of it. So awesome. When you hold down the button, you will acquire one of your passives, and for the first ability, that is increased parkour velocity. This is a crap ton of parkour velocity. You'll be very fast if you choose to use that part of the passive. The second ability, and this is what synergizes with the 1 and the augment very well, is Fangs of Raksh. Basically, you look at an enemy and you press 2 and you leap to them and you shank them, and you do 5 random statuses per shank that does 10 stacks of that status. Basically maxes it out unless it's like heat or something, and obviously then there's no cap. When that target that you put this on dies, all of those statuses will be spread to other nearby enemies. It doesn't matter if they die to this ability, if they die to a teammate, as long as you 2 them and they die, those statuses will get spread. If you use your passive with this ability, which is to hold down your 2, you will become immune to status effects, which is very strong, especially when you're invisible, and basically the only thing that poses a threat to you is status effects. You can just be immune to those and never die, pretty much. Your 3 is like S Hunt. We all probably know this ability. It's one of her subsumes, and it's very good on a lot of frames. If you tap 3, any melee kills you do will have orbs, health orbs drop, and any headshot kills will have energy orbs drop. If you use Equilibrium or an Equilibrium Archon Shard, those health orbs can become energy orbs. So just by getting melee kills, you have infinite energy. If the enemy that is killed has more than 5 status effects on them, 5 or more, the ability duration gets extended by 5 seconds, and this can go over the initial cap to, I think, a minute with just 100% duration. You get 5 seconds per kill, and you're going to see why it is very easy to keep this up when I get into the gameplay. But just know this is pretty much an infinite buff as long as you're actively playing the game, as you should be. And infinite energy comes along with that. If you hold down the button for the passive, so if you hold down 3, you will get heavy attack efficiency. I don't really use this one. I couldn't tell you if it's even good or not. It's not really useful in the build that I'm using it for. And then for the 4, I subsumed Roar on here. We're going to get into that in a second. But the normal 4 is basically you go into a primal state, and then you get these charges that let you dash to enemies, and you do powerful slashing attacks on those enemies. And if those enemies have statuses on them, it does increase damage. and you can return some charges. It's not a bad ability, I just don't use it because I'm doing more of a weapons focus and a 2 focused build. And because we're doing a 2 focused build, that's why I'm using the Prey of Dinar augment. Let's get into that. Basically, what the Prey of Dinar augment does is it turns your 1 into a really good ability, even better than it already is. Basically, when you go into your 1, it will also mark an enemy with your energy color. That enemy that is marked has damage vulnerability applied to them, which scales off of your strength. Right now at 179, it is an 89% damage vulnerability. That's going to scale with Mo Augmented to be over 100%. Very strong. What it also does is it makes it so that when you use your 2 on that enemy, Fangs of Rash, and they die, and it does that effect where it spreads those statuses will spread in a 150% increased radius over what it already is. So, 19.6 meters plus 150% is 49 meters of range in a radius through walls of any status that that enemy had on them when they died. Fangs of Rash can be spammed on the same enemy multiple times up until the point that they die. So, you can put every single status on an enemy, cap them out, and get like 300 heat procs, if the enemy has enough health, before they die, and all of those are going to spread in that radius. Safe to say those enemies are not alive anymore when that happens, and that's a huge radius to be doing that. And because of how strong that is, we're obviously going to be using Roar. It's ×2 for status effects. You can imagine how stupid the damage is going to be already, and that's why we're using Roar instead of the ult. Basically, the gameplay loop is you're just going to be invisible with your 1, find the marked target that has your energy color on it, press your 2 on them, or spam it if you feel like being a masochist, and then have Roar on while you're doing that with your 3 on, and watch the whole map die and get energy from them because they're dying. The build is on screen. I have to Forma still. I would put Growing Power or Steel Charge here because this is not really doing much for us, so keep that in mind. Basically, you want max range with Stretch, Augur Reach, Overextended. To counteract the Overextended, you want Blind Rage and Precision Intensify to buff your Roar because it's on your 4. Brings it to 80% before Mo Augmented. Obviously, you want the Augment mod. I went for Augur Secrets for a little bit more strength. This comes in useful because heavy units have a bit of a hard time dying to this ability without a little bit more strength than just these 2 mods can bring. So I went with Augur Secrets. And then Prime Flows so we can make all of those orbs we're getting more meaningful and have a higher energy pool to spam our stuff. I went with Mo Augmented because we really want power strength, and this is not going to take long at all to stack. And I went with Arcane Blessing because we're spawning all of these health orbs from our 3, and we're not using a health mod because we want other mods. So that kind of makes up for that. And then I have Cunning Drift just to max out the range as much as we can get. Because this is a percentage-based increase, this actually ends up being like 3 or 4 extra meters of range, and when you're talking about a radius, that is pretty huge, much more meaningful than strength in my opinion. For Archon Shards, I went with casting speed because we're a caster frame, and the more times we can put our 2 on something before it dies, the more damage we're going to get out. So casting speed is very nice. I went with an Equilibrium Shard because we can spawn our own orbs. This ends up being very good even without it being, without it being Tau Forged. So you don't need to run Equilibrium. I went with a Tau Forged Crimson for power strength and a normal Crimson for power strength just to keep our strength pretty high so that we don't need more augmented right off the bat to get those kills on the heavier units. With that out the way, let's get into the builds on the weapons. The only weapon we're going to be focusing on today is melee weapons. Because of her 1 being so strong at buffing your melee weapons, and because of combos I'll get into in a second once we get into the gameplay, all you're really going to be caring about is your melee weapon. And I chose the Sancti Magistar. This is a slam attack build. you pretty much just do your combo and then slam, which I'll get into when I get into the gameplay. And yeah, things don't really like that, and it gets your stuff spreading very fast. So I have a Riven on here. This is not necessary at all. If you don't have a Riven, I would just put a Toxin mod here because I'm mainly just using it to get viral, and even the viral is not necessary at all. You don't you don't need viral. Um, Pretty much all you need is the other mods I'm gonna get into. Condition Overload. This is very strong on this character because if you 2 the enemy, they get a bunch of statuses applied to them, 5 different statuses. That makes this a very big damage increase. I have Corrupt Charge for initial combo because this is a slam attack build. I'm not building combo. I have Seismic Wave for slam damage, Galvanized Steel for the crit chance crit damage, Organ Shatter for crit damage, and Galvanized Reflex for more initial combo. This just makes my initial combo a 6x basically permanently. This isn't even ranked up all the way, so that I can just go into Incarnate form as soon as the Incarnate form runs out. I don't even have a melee arcane adapter on here. You don't even need one. I've hit over 50 million damage in a single slam because of this character's buffs. With this build, it's not necessary. The Riven's not necessary. You just want this mod, and these mods. You don't need the viral, but do whatever you want. Do blast, do viral, do literally whatever. And just jump in the air and do your channeled heavy attack, the powered heavy attack. And yeah, things don't like it at all. With that out the way, I'll go to the simulacrum and show you guys what I'm talking about. Alrighty guys, here we are in the simulacrum. I have a level 185 Steelpath Orc and Battle Group here. I'm going to spawn them in and show you guys what I'm talking about. So, hold down your buttons. That'll give you the passives. So that's my 1, my 2, my 3. I like to keep it on the 2 for the status effect resistance, but I'll show you guys the parkour velocity. This is normal, and this is with the buff on. You can see I go very fast. So the 1 and the 2, in my opinion, are the best buffs. If you want to be super speedy, go with that one. If you want to just, you know, live forever, go with this one. Or if you get hit with a status and you're like, I don't really want that, you can just swap the 2 on and just play with the 1 on until that happens. But anyways, to show you guys the augment, I will press my 1 and you will see a guy get marked with my energy color. That is that bombard right there. Basically, he has that 92% because my augmented is a little bit stacked percent vulnerability on him, and if I was to 2 him and he was to die, it would spread it in that 150% increased radius. So to show you guys that, I will press my 1 and it will mark that butcher right there. It's random in a certain radius. I'm not sure what the meters are. I would 2 him, he gets all of those statuses on him. 2 him again, he gets more and more. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. But then he dies, and it spreads all of those statuses around. It's a little bit RNG dependent on how damaging the ability is going to be because it is based on what statuses get applied. But once your augmented's up, once you have your buffs on, and in an actual, you know, realistic scenario in a real mission, it doesn't really tend to matter on the RNG side. Everything just kind of hates it. Now that explaining's out the way, though, actually, wait, hold on. I need to tell you guys about the melee weapon. So my Sancti Magistar. This combo is very well with this, and I'll show you guys why. I'll build up my Incarnate. There it is, times 6. And basically, here's the combo that you can do. So I'll just get into that now. So you can either, 1, look for the marked guy, 2 them, you know, do this whole thing, and obviously have your roar on and your 3 on and all that good stuff, and just let this happen. And this is fine and serviceable, and trust me, in a real mission, they die much, much faster than this. It just doesn't look as good in the simulacrum for some reason. Or you can go with this route of playing, which is I use this, I do that, and then I slam. And that wasn't even like a charge slam, so I'll show it with a charge slam. So I spawn them in again. I use my 1, I 2 him, and I do that. Obviously, that's more effective, but the problem with doing it that way is every time you attack while you are invisible, which is your 1, it's going to take you out of that invis. As you can see, I'm no longer invis. So it means you need to, you know, actually worry about pressing your buttons a little bit more. Whereas if I just do this and I just only use my 2, I can be invis until that ability runs out. And I can just, you know, be chilling and not worry about crap. But, yeah. With that out the way, I guess I'll show it actually with some roar action. So I'll put down my Zeneric. I use my 1, my 3, I'll roar. There's that with roar. As you can see, they hate it. And you can see the timer on my 3 just went to a minute. That's because all those enemies were dying with 5+ statuses on them. So that's what I mean when I say you don't have to reproc it. Now we'll show that with the melee weapon. So I press my 1, it marks him. And you can see all the energy orbs and stuff that get pooped out. And I'm full energy again. Pretty awesome. Anyway, enough simulacrum. Before we get into the gameplay, I should also mention I'm going to be using a Smita Kavat. Basically, the only thing I'm getting from this is Tenacious Bond, which is a 1.2x final crit damage multiplier, which does go pretty good with Voruna, but you can pretty much run whatever Sentinel you want, Companion you want, Kubra, whatever. I'm just running Smita Kavat because loot. Maybe try it with Nautilus. Might be fun. Pretty unnecessary. But yeah, I'm in a Steel Path mod survival, as you guys saw. Put down my Wellspring for energy, not mandatory, but I'd like me some energy at the start.
They have just shut down all systems.
I'll press my 3 so I can start making energy, and hold my 2 for the status effect immunity. Load up some Incarnate here with normal slams. There we go. Go invis, find the marked guy, roar, and to him. And the whole map explodes. Bye bye. There's another marked guy. Oh, I'm out of energy. Whoops. I can make some energy real quick. Oh, my 3 ran out. Unfortunate. I wasn't keeping it up by putting statuses on them, but you guys will see. There we go. Max energy. Marked guy. Boom. And the whole map dies. Marked guy. Roar back on. Make some energy here. Whole map dies. And yeah, you can kind of see you can kind of see how stupid this is. You just have your roar on, and you just find the marked guy, and you 2 him, and the whole map dies, and then they run back to you. It's pretty fun. It's pretty goofy. You're in no risk of dying because you're invisible. As long as I don't attack, I'll be invisible for 14 seconds every time I press 1. Get the marked guy, slam. Yeah. This is kind of what you can expect. Find the marked guy, slam, press my 1 again. Yeah. I'll meet you guys when the Acolyte spawns. Actually, that's boring. We're gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep it recording. Just to show you guys it's not a fluke. Alright. This is just really what it does. I don't understand why it's so strong. I don't even need to use my heavies. Basically, like, the way I would play it is, if an enemy just really doesn't want to die somehow, or if you need energy, then do your heavy slams with this, or whatever melee you want to use. You could use Zorus, Glaive, whatever. I just like the Magistar. You could just do that when you need energy, because, you know, you are going to make those orbs with the 3rd active when you get the melee kills. But if you don't need the energy, then you don't really need to use your weapons, and you can save energy by not needing to repress your 1, because, yeah, you're invis for 14 seconds every time you press 1. And mind you, I also haven't been, like, spamming my 1 on the enemies. I mean, my 2 on the enemies, which would apply even more status. Like, I could go like this. Oh, I didn't even get a chance to. But if they don't die instantly, I can just repeatedly 2 them over and over and stack them, fill them to the brim of statuses, and then when they explode like that, it does even more damage, and applies even more status. You can see it's applying cold, so we're getting frozen and all that good stuff too. My roar ran out. Let me get some energy. There we go. Max energy. back in Viz. There you are. Load him up. Bye-bye. Get this guy. My energy bag. Yeah, you can kind of just see what's going on here. Let's see, 4 minutes. I have 687 kills. Yeah. Safe to say it's pretty damn strong. Wish the Acolyte would spawn though. That's when it gets really goofy. Yeah, the whole map's just dying, going through walls, I don't know. Makes you wonder why some things are line of sight and then this isn't. Okay, here's the Acolyte. What I like to do is obviously I'll put my roar on. I want to wait for him to spawn and then use my one and hope it goes on him. That'd be really nice. I didn't get lucky. But I'll get the marked guy, I'll slam him. And yeah, the Acolyte's not alive anymore. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he's not alive anymore. So yeah, this is definitely one of the strongest frames I think we've ever seen. But I hope this proves the point to you guys. This was the Steel Path run. This was the video. I'll put up some clips at the end of this, but yeah, let's see. 844 kills in 5 minutes, and I've been kind of goofing off. I'm not like min-maxing, going insane. I can use my parkour speed here to get to extraction. If there wasn't all this stuff in the way, that'd be nice. But yeah, you can see how fast I am. Oh, I suck. But yeah, that's the Steel Path run, guys. That's the build. That's the video. Here's some clips. See you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, I'm invisible. Hello, Mr. Acolyte. Oh,